Welcome everybody to today's video. We're going to be talking about the PSVR2 today and the recent news that it's dropped in price to £399. But for argument's sake, throughout the video, I'm going to be saying £400 because I can't be bothered to keep saying 399.99 or whatever it is. So I think this is absolutely brilliant news. It's great to see it dropping in price. It's a more palatable price, I think, for people to want to try out. However, obviously, with this, we knew some media outlets would have some negativity in a sense, but I say negativity, it's more the headline on one of them that seems more of a negativity than the actual statement they made. And I'm going to go over the statements and I'll put a little screenshot up when I'm reading out the section. Um, and I don't necessarily think their wording is bad when they've done it. It's more just the clickbait title that's there to annoy the PSVR2 fan base. And the reason I'm going to put it like that is because the PSVR2 fan base is incredibly passionate. There's never a moment they're not. They're extremely passionate about the games that come to the headset itself. Comparisons to other headsets usually lead to quite heated discussions. Personally, for me, I stay out of it. I think VR in a whole needs to kind of not have those type of discussions. One headset can't be better than the other. Each have good aspects to them. I mean, unless you're comparing it to a headset from years ago, such as like the PSVR1, comparing that to the PSVR2, then obviously in that circumstance, the PSVR2 is the better headset. So obviously, with that in mind, these type of things will heat up the PSVR2 fan base, and usually on Twitter, I do find that the PSVR2 fan base are the ones that you know are quick to jump and fight for their plastic device. And I say their plastic device, and I don't mean it in a harsh way because hell, even in my logo, the PSVR2 is on my head. The PSVR2 pretty much reinvented my passion for VR when it first released. I have very strong thoughts about this device. And I don't dislike it in any sense. I do question some of its choices. Well, I see some of its choices. I mean, some of PlayStation's choices and what they've done with the headset marketing and things like that. Not the headset itself. I think the headset itself is decent. However, let's go over some of the actual posts that I've seen today pop up after the actual initial announcement. Now, I know Upload VR, I've done one, and they kind of mentioned, I'll put a screenshot up around about now, but they kind of mentioned that they wouldn't recommend the PSVR2 back at its full price because the commitment from Sony was questionable. I can't argue with the logic there. I really can't. Um, I've still recommended a PSVR2 to people, but I've kind of outlined that this is what's happening, this is what you're likely to get, and is it worth it in your actual case of what you want? And I think that's the biggest question about it is whether you're getting what you want from the headset. Now, I would never say to somebody, get a Quest over a PSVR2 or get a PSVR2 over a Quest. It heavily depends on what the users, what they actually want from said headset. So there was that. Personally, not got an issue with that statement in a sense. And they didn't really clickbait the titles. Personally, for me, Upload VR, I've got no real issue with the actual post itself. Probably, I mean, I think biasy is there. They shouldn't really be like, okay, this is why we haven't recommended it because it's kind of stating it as a collective. Like Upload VR has never recommended this headset. However, some people within Upload VR may recommend it, so I'm not really too sure if that was wrote as a collective or not. But personally, I think a whole company not recommending something because of something's questionable is also questionable in its sense. But at the same point, I've got no real issue with that statement, just simply because I think everyone that owns a PSVR2 has had that same type of thought around Sony's commitment to the headset. So yeah, I'll put a little, like I said, I've put a little post up. You can read that little section. But the one for me that I found quite laughable and the one that I retweeted myself was Kotaku. Everyone knows Kotaku. And they put out a thing, and the headline is Sony finally slashes the price of PlayStation VR2 by $150, but it might be too late. Now, you could argue 2 years into the product for lowering the price is a bit too late. They could have done it within a year, and I don't really see why they didn't. I think they should have dropped it by 50 to 100 within the first year. I think having the early adopters pick it up and seeing how much it's sold and then noticing how much it's sold on sales, I think they should have kind of noticed that, you know, it's, yeah, it should have been dropped. But there's some things in here, they go on over, it's now your opportunity to jump into PSVR 2 starting in March, according to the blog post. It's all going over what's on the headset. Released back in 2023 and bundled with Horizon Call of the Mountain for $600, PSVR2 was praised for its build quality, comfort, and performance. I'd question comfort. I'd question comfort on that one. Some people absolutely love the comfort of the PSVR2, and I'm going to show you two of my PSVR2s. Yes, I have two of them. I can go over that another time. There's a reason to it. So this is my main PSVR2 I use. This one here. This has got the globular cluster on it, which is a comfort mod. You have to kind of take all this stuff off to put it all on. But this has lens inserts. It has clip-on headphones. This is my decked out PSVR2 that I use all the time, and I absolutely love this device. I still say comfort is a question for the PSVR2 because even my spare one has another comfort thing. This is a VR cover. This is a cheaper alternative. Again, does a similar thing. Has a headband. Kind of covers up the leather or pleather, or the plasticky. I think it's more plastic or rubber. Which again, if you have allergic reactions to rubber, you're probably going to find this more irritating than anything else. Not the actual cover that's on here, the stuff that's underneath it. Um, so this is obviously the other one. So I'd question comfort. I don't know how people said the comfort is great. Personally, for me, I think the comfort is questionable at best. Anyways, performance fantastic. So we've got no interest in that. So going on for it, it says the price, however, effectively told non-enthusiasts to stay away. And unlike Meta's cheaper Oculus headset, PSVR2 also required a standalone PS5 to work and wasn't backwards compatible with the PSVR library. Now, some of the PSVR games have come across, which is fantastic. There's still a lot on trapped on the PSVR one that should be across by now, and I think Sony are kind of shooting themselves in the foot by not putting them across. And I'd also say until they come across, probably hold off buying as well. But that being said, there's a lot of games in the PS2 that I think people are going to get enjoyment from. Anyways, let's go on through the rest of the post because it starts quoting other things from other posts, other media outlets that some haven't always been credible, such as Bloomberg in a sense. So it says there were immediate reports of Sony struggling to meet sales goals, which I think is accurate on that one. I'm not going to argue that, with Sony even halting production early last year due to a build-up in stock of unwanted units, according to Bloomberg. Now, I don't know if this one was ever confirmed. I can't remember. I'm not going to say it was, and I'm not going to say it wasn't. I'm going to say it's logical in a sense, and I'm going to say I can't argue with that logic because it does sound like it could be potentially true. I don't feel like I saw PSVR2 sell that well until the recent sales where it kind of blew up, and I think everyone can kind of agree with that one. So it says, despite a small, steady stream of new releases for the headset, as well as adapters to make the headset work with PC, which I've done a review of the PC adapter. This as a headset to use on PC is fantastic. If you want a cheap PC VR headset and you also have a PS5, buy the PSVR2. 100% buy the PSVR2. If you have no reason to want to try a standalone headset, but you have PS5 and you have a PC, then get it. If you just have a PC and you want a cheap headset, get it. It's fine. However, there is a caveat to this. When you've tried it on the PC after using it on a PS5, you will get the feeling that this is an empty headset. And what I mean by that is because it doesn't have the dynamic foveated rendering, it doesn't have the eye tracking, it doesn't have the haptics. It feels like an empty headset. However, the quality of an uncompressed image is still pretty fantastic. So it's still worth its £400 price tag to use as a PC headset. So bear that in mind. And it goes on to saying the device briefly on sale for $200 off. Great sale, can't argue with that. And the bigger question is, why has Sony waited this long to aggressively cut the price in the first place? Maybe it's only recently that the manufacturing cost came down enough to make that viable. After all, why would Sony want to lose money on headsets for an ecosystem that is barely growing? Now that is a bit of a fucking punch in the throat, I think is the best way of putting it. Yes, I would agree that VR as a whole isn't dying. Some people like to say it is. However, I mean, I'm an advocate for it. I mean, I love VR. I make silly videos every day about this thing. It's not dying. However, I do think it's recently had like a 9mm shot straight to the knee that's kind of stumped it a little bit. Um, so whether it'll start walking again, who knows? But it does feel like it slows in paces, then gets better, and it's always been like this. This is how VR has always been, in my opinion. It's always been 1 minute it's great, 1 minute it's like yeah. And that's kind of what heated me off when back in the PSVR1 days is like, it was like, nah, nothing's really coming that's intriguing me. Whereas now, like, I'm playing all these various indie games, and there's a lot more intriguing me these days because the way the system has grown and what is now the mainstream of VR gaming. That being said, I think some people can still question whether VR will ever truly blow up. Who knows? Anyways, going on. Blah blah blah. After a while, with VR's barely growing. At the same time, games sell consoles, and without the clear backing of Sony, the PSVR2 library never took off. How can others? How can others place big bets on the hardware if the company that made it doesn't seem willing to do the same? Now, one thing I have always raised and always stood very strong on, Sony's marketing for the PSVR2 is absolutely diabolical. And it would make you think they don't care about it. Now, I'd argue Meta's marketing isn't as good at times. However, I feel like that's probably a bit mean to say because at least they do acknowledge that games are coming out and they acknowledge these things, whereas Sony will only acknowledge it every now and then. However, there's a bit of back and forth, I believe, between developers as to when Sony actually showcase their games and things like that. And I'm not too sure the actual logistics of it. So if any devs do know and they can speak about it, let us know in the comments. It'd be really interesting to know how it works in your part. Meta's marketing, like I said, it's better. And Meta does have obviously the content creator program and things like that, which does make it easier for a lot of content creators to market products because they are given these huge opportunities and these great opportunities, and everyone that's in that program, congratulations. You are marketing VR, in my opinion, not marketing just Meta. You are marketing VR as a whole. So keep doing what you're doing. No bad blood there. I know some people dislike Meta and things like that. Mate, I love my Quest. I absolutely love my Quest. It's great, but I love my PSVR 2 as well. I think this week I've been playing my PSVR 2 more, whereas last week I was playing the Quest more. It's it's never both the same week. It's very mixed. Anyways, going back on, it says that doesn't mean here are no games. Uh, Mate, whoever wrote this, I, that doesn't mean here are no games. I think they meant to say it doesn't mean there are no games. Or doesn't mean there are no games for the PSVR 2. Sony notes in today's blog post that Alien, Rogue Incursion, Skydance's Behemoth, and Metro Awakening VR all recently arrived on the platform. With Hitman World of Assassination and others still on the way for now, though, there still doesn't seem to be a killer app coming down the road anytime soon. Bullshit, I think is the best way of putting that part. Yes, we don't know what's coming down the road completely. We don't know what games are coming. However, there are some great games coming still. No, I can't think of all of them off the top of my head, but even today, you've had the announcement of Wanderer, the release date for that. Yes, it's been held back before, but yeah, Wanderer. You've got the Midnight Walk, which looks absolutely wacky and really good. And the developers have made a VR game before, one of which I really enjoyed. So you've got that. You've got we got Gorn 2 that just got announced as well, which is an absolutely fun little brawler. Now, I would argue that none of these are killer games or killer apps as they've worded it for the PSVR 2, albeit they are going to be pretty good. But if you bought a headset for £400 and you got Alien Rogue Incursion, Behemoth, Metro Awakening, Arcane Age, Horizon Call of the Mountain, and the many, many indie games that are on there. Plus, PSVR 2 has the native versions of Resident Evil 4 Remake VR and also Resident Evil 8 VR, and they are fantastic. So, if this is your first time jumping into PSVR 2 for this price, you're winning in a sense. You're getting a really good time. So, I think Kotaku's post goes over and takes quite a lot of digs and voices how meta is, still something to go for. And I would argue that meta is still something to go for. But like I said, outweigh what you want from the headset. If you want a pure gaming headset and you have a PS5, get the PSVR 2. If you don't have a PS5 and you want a headset that's good for gaming but does other things, get the Quest. If you have a PC, but you still want something you can use standalone, get the Quest. If you don't want to use something standalone, get the PSVR 2. These things are quite easy to, think through and choose what you want to pick up. It's not a difficult question. Now, it does become more difficult when you've got a PS5 and you go, should I get a Quest or a PSVR2? Now, again, it goes back to the first question. What do you want from the headset? Do you want just a pure gaming headset? If so, again, you have the PS5, get the PSVR2. If you want more from your headset, media, being able to connect it to other devices, use it for fitness, use it for movies, use it for gaming, then get the Quest. This isn't me saying one headset is better than the other because they're not. They're both fantastic headsets and they both offer something great. But the media always has to kind of go, "Whoa, Meta's doing this." I don't care what their reasonings are, and I don't really get involved in it because meh, who cares? But yeah, like I said, upload VR's post. I think their wording with it being questionable, that's fair enough. Anyways, like I said, I've got two of the things. I already enjoy it. There's a lot of games on the headset to play, and I definitely think it's worth taking a look at if this is something you're interested in now. If you have any questions about the PSVR2, whether it be gaming, whether it be the headset itself, please leave them in the comments. Let me help you. As somebody who uses the headset all the time, pretty much, as opposed to somebody that's just going to go, nah, it's shit, mate, because that's not an answer. You're not getting anything from that, are you? So yeah, just drop a comment, let me know, and yeah, let's talk about it. PSVR2, will it get more support in the future from Sony? That's always the big question, and it's something like I said, every owner of the PSVR2 will keep asking. We don't know. We don't know what they have planning. There was rumors that they had two first-party games in the works. I don't know. I really don't. But the headset is still great, and with indie developed games coming across, you're not genuinely going to be wasting your money, especially if you're picking it up now with all the backlog of games that are already there. So it's something to think about. Anyways, if you've enjoyed this video, then make sure to stick around. I cover VR as a whole. You'll see PSVR2 here, Quest and PC VR games. So you're surely to see some games there that are going to interest you. So if you have just picked it up, maybe you've found yourself across my channel right now and you're looking at some videos of some random VR games on the PSVR2 that interest you. Anyways, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you all in the next one. Take it easy and have a great day.